Marama Fox.
Mr. Speaker, nei te mihi ki a koe. Last week, Mr. Speaker, during recess, I was invited to deliver the keynote address to the Aboriginal National Congress in Sydney. While I was there, I took the opportunity to meet with groups that are providing services to those people who are disparaged, those people who find themselves homeless, those people who are needing assistance. And when I spoke with those community groups that are delivering those services, they tell me of the 500 meals that they deliver on the streets of Sydney in one evening, 40% of those people who are lining up for meals are Kiwi. They tell me that in Queensland, the highest rates of suicide are committed by Māori. They tell me that students in high schools across Australia who are coming to the end of the year, who are sitting their exams, are deciding whether or not they should bother. Because until Malcolm Turnbull had made his decision after 14 years of waiting to allow Kiwi students, young people who have grown up and lived their lives in Australia, to allow them to gain tertiary qualifications by getting a student loan as of January 1st next year, those students would turn up at school and go, what's the point? Kiwis are being treated less than second-class citizens. In fact, under the new legislation last year and in 2001, the immigration policy, Kiwis now have less rights in Australia than an American tourist. That's right, and it's a shock to people. And when I go to Australia and talk to Joe Ordinary Aussie, they don't know. They don't know what's happening in the detention centres. It's not been broadcast, and if it is, it's been broadcast as the killer Kiwis. A 12-month sentence in Australia could see you thrown into jail for traffic violations, for shoplifting, and for that, these Kiwis, who may only serve 8 months of that sentence, are being thrown into a detention centre, some of them offshore, as Mr. Davis has pointed out. Now, those people have been removed from their families, having already served their sentence, having already been deemed by a judge in a court to have committed a crime and given a sentence that they have finished. Some of them are released on parole conditions, and if they were released to their homes to await a decision about deportation, they would be walking into a job tomorrow. If they were released to their homes, they would be paying taxes in Australia tomorrow. But wait, it gets worse. Because under that Section 501, Part D, you can be deported from Australia on questionable character. Already, we have a 6-year-old gentleman in Taumaranui who is there now because when he came home for an unveiling and tried to get back into Australia, was held up at immigration, and despite having no criminal conviction in Australia, despite having lived there for 36 years and paid taxes for 34 of those years until he became seriously ill 2 years ago, despite all of those things because of a petty crime he committed in New Zealand when he was 20, he was denied access back into Australia, back to his family, back to his wife, who have been caring for him because he is seriously ill. This is abhorrent, and our government need to speak up about it. We need to be doing more than we are doing. And I have to commend Amy Adams, actually, because she has rung herself personally to the people who have been advocating for those people in the detention centres and given them advice on how they can seek help by sending them to the New Zealand consulate there in Australia. Well, one of those people did turn up at the New Zealand consulate and was turned away. They didn't know what to do. Mr. Speaker, this is not good enough. On Monday, the 9th, Australia will sit in the UN in front of the UN Periodic Review, and we will have the ability, this government, 3 minutes to put those questions to this Australian Parliament and demand answers. And lastly, we have the opportunity to oppose their bid to be sitting on the Human Rights Council, and sir, we should be taking that opportunity to oppose it based on their appalling history of human rights abuse.